MelVee Broadcasting Network, a divine voice out of Africa. Remember to like, to subscribe, and to click the bell.
AWR. Powered by SIDmedia.
Welcome back to Faith Conversations. You are with the MC, the Deacon of the Airwaves, and in studio, as promised, the man himself, Elder Melusi Ndhlalambi. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, MC, Deacon of the Airwaves. Good to be here, man.
It's a pleasure and an exciting time to have you in studio. What are we talking about today?
Thank you so much, and greetings to your listeners and your viewers out there. We're talking about digital evangelism. We're talking about how to reach out and fish for souls for Christ, and how the modern technology can be useful in helping us to scatter the seeds and harvest the souls for the kingdom of God.
Wow.
I'm hoping that's exciting for somebody out there.
It is so exciting. We are used to the traditional methods. We are used to things that we know.
Absolutely.
So today you're going to tell us about things that we don't know, or that we know but we think we don't know.
No, I'll tell you about the things I know. As to
All
the
right.
rest, I think people will make their own judgments.
Well, don't go away. Sit tight. It's going to be a lovely ride and a faith conversation you will never forget. Stay tuned.
MelVee Broadcasting Network, a divine voice out of Africa. Remember to like, to subscribe, and to click the bell.
We're back in studio on Faith Conversations with Elder Melusi Ndhlalambi, talking about a subject he is very passionate about, and something that we actually met, discussed, and shared views about our passion for this ministry. Yes, sir. Break it down.
Thank you so much, MC and Deacon of the Airwaves. I love that title. I think from today onwards, I'm going to call you by that. And we need to recruit more Deacons of the Airwaves.
Yes.
You know, when I met you, you were talking about being on radio, and here you are today.
You know?
And I was quite fascinated by your interest in doing films. We did a film together, isn't it?
We've worked
We
together.
kind of worked on a film that we were hoping will.
But
will
it's still gonna
produce.
hit Stekenico, New Metro.
I believe you. I believe you. So, yes, for me, I think it's been a long journey. And by the way, I'm not a media broadcaster by training. I think I'm one by calling.
And by passion.
Yes.
All right.
And then by that I mean, I would rather die than not make videos. So I am so driven because I think it's both a passion, because God has given me the gift to draw. If you give me your portrait or you stand long enough in front of me, I will draw your face. I used to draw a lot of pictures from when I was young.
Okay.
And I think the lens of a camera does that without even spending more time. It captures just like that.
And it captures everything. It does not miss a thing.
No. And I find it natural for me to compose shots. I think one of my mentors was training me back then, says, I don't even need to mentor you. That's Noel. Noel is an esteemed broadcaster. Usbanda. He says, no, your compositions are good. And it's because it comes from that passion and the talent. But as to how I landed up in digital evangelism, it's a story perhaps we need to unpack a bit more, because I never planned it in my career walk.
It
never featured.
It presented itself.
Yes.
It just brought itself to you.
But when I look back, I realize what God was doing back then, which I never thought meant something for today.
Okay.
Do you know that the person who introduced me to broadcasting was not an Adventist? His name was, or is, Reverend Pashapa.
Okay.
He found us in a township doing some youth in touch projects to motivate each other and to make sure we stay out of trouble and drugs in the townships of Harare. And he loved the idea so much. He came, picked us up with his car, took us to Pockets Hill in Harare.
Okay.
Which was like the national broadcasting station, Radio 3. And we sat in an environment almost similar to this, talking about youth in touch. And from that day, I loved radio. I loved broadcasting.
The bug had bit you.
It bit me. But it wasn't after about 20 years that I sat at my house looking for a video of some pastor I wanted to listen to. And I went online, couldn't find anything. I contacted a couple of people who had worked with him to say, do you even have just an audio of him? I just want to listen to him again.
Just to hear him again.
Yes. Michael Chikogora was his name. And there was no one who could provide me with recordings of him. And that bug, which was sitting inside me, came up and became alive. And I couldn't rest. Every time I thought of an Adventist pastor dying, it was like destroying a library of a calling that God has spent years developing.
God cultivated this person, nurtured them.
Exactly.
Taught them.
Poured so much into their lives and then released them to minister. Then death takes them away, and how much of a loss? Nothing left. So that just began to eat me out. So maybe let me talk to someone out there who feels the burden. That's how you are called.
Yeah.
That passion.
Because
that
if it doesn't burden you, it's not your calling.
No, it's not. It's not. So if anyone out there is struggling to know what is your calling, just look at the things that really bother you a lot.
Things you'd like to fix.
Yes.
Things you'd like to implement.
Exactly. So sometimes I've believed now, MC, that some of the best critics for the church are actually people who are neglecting the calling to build the church.
Okay.
Because when you start criticizing, you're not going to build.
Can't just be throwing stones.
No, you need to be building. So for me, that's how the journey began. And 2011, I'll say 2010, my life was on the highest pinnacle. I had the best job around. I was well paid. I had all my living allowances and I had all my pack. I could afford anything I wanted. For 6 years, I built this company that hired me to be one of their technical leads. I'm into public health, by the way.
All right.
So I work in the health system, building healthcare systems and health development projects.
Okay.
So if you go to their website, amref.org, and you look for the South Africa page, up to today, they still have a caption that says the best years of their country office were between 2005 and 2010.
Okay.
And that coincides with the time I
you
was
were
with
there.
them.
Hallelujah.
I was there, Joseph.
Okay.
And so how then did things change? 2008, we had an economic crisis.
Yes. Global meltdown.
Exactly. 2 years down the line, it caught up with us in the NGO health sector. And so the company downsized. Strangely, I was the senior person in the office, and I was the only one who was let go that year. And I said, no ways.
It's those packages. That pay. You were too expensive now.
Could be, but in terms of the survival of the country office, I was the key man. And so for me, I said, no ways. This cannot be a human decision. God must be involved in this thing. And I'm sure someone out there might be in those shoes I was 10, 11 years ago and wondering why has this happened? You know what changed for me, MC?
Yes.
I stopped asking those questions, why me? Why only me? I started asking, what is it that God is trying to say? And that changed everything. And that's about the time when I was looking for this video, and then, boom, suddenly I feel this passion to say, no, man. It can't be that pastors die and they go. And then how did God push me further into that sport? I came to SID. They had one of their meetings, and SID officers from around the region had come through. So I thought, let me go and worship with them and maybe get to hear them. Dr. Matandiko from Zambia preached that day. And I said, wow, what a powerful speaker. I think it was the president of the Zambian
Dr.
Union.
Matandiko, president of the Zambian Union at that time. Yes.
And I said, wow, what a powerful preacher. But a few months can't remember if it's a few months or a year down the line, he passed away. The same bug I felt on Michael was impressed on this guy, and I said, Lord, I think it's time for me to start.
It's time.
So for someone out there, if you see a sequence of crises, I have a philosophy which I've embraced, which says don't waste the crisis. When you get into a crisis, don't waste it. It is not there for your crushing. The crisis is actually an awakening of your calling and your destiny. So you need to hear the language that the crucible is speaking to you. And
Say that again, my elder.
Yes, your crisis is not for your crushing. That crisis that has fallen on you is actually a moment of awakening. It's an ignition that is igniting you to step into your purpose. And so you shouldn't be asking, why did it happen to me? You should be asking, what is it teaching me?
Which door is opening?
Exactly.
I can hear one shutting loudly.
Bang!
There's one
Right
shutting
in your face.
loudly.
Exactly.
But
which one is opening?
all right.
So for me, I then say, we have a choice how we move forward after a crisis has happened. Whether it's in your family, it's in your business, it's in your job, whichever sector. You could sit there and moan and groan and complain and host your pity party. But until the day you realize, no, this is not for my crushing, this is for my redirection.
Yes, sir.
The day you say, what needs to be done? What is this crisis telling me? Is the day that your trouble will leave you, because your pain will never leave you until it has finished teaching you your lesson.
Whoa. I hope you heard that. I hope you heard
Your
that.
pain will never leave
will
you
never leave you
until it has finished teaching
you
your lesson.
your lesson.
And sometimes many of us will never leave the cycle of pain because we are refusing to hear.
We're refusing to learn.
Exactly. And redirect our lives. So December 2010, I went home, sat down to think about where these sermons are and where these pastors are. And I love the quotation I came across from Pastor Wintley Phipps.
Yes, Wintley.
I think someone needs to hear this one. Because
The
up to
singing
today,
evangelist.
The singing evangelist,
Yes.
yes. He says, it is in the quiet crucibles of your personal, private sufferings that the noblest dreams are born and God's greatest gifts are given in compensation for what you have been through.
Yeah.
So when you are catching it hard, God is building.
Is someone listening out there? Talk to us on 073-470-3520. When you are feeling the pain, when you are in that space where you feel all is lost, that's the time when that's the time when God is talking to you. Talk to us, 073-470-3520. Welcome back to Faith Conversations. You are still with the MC, the Deacon of the Airwaves, and we are with the one and only, the Maestro of Digital Evangelism, Melusi Ndhlalambi. Welcome back.
Thank you, the Deacon of the Airwaves. Man, I thank you for that title. I never thought I would be, but looking back 10 years ago, 11 years ago or so, I realized God was actually chanting a new way.
You were in a training program.
Little did I know, but the passion was real.
So you had the passion, you had the vision, you had the will to do this. The gentleman you said took you guys to the radio station. He showed you what could be.
Yeah.
You come to South Africa with an organization. The passion is still burning.
Yeah.
But you are not in it.
No.
What was the catapult?
It was a crisis, like I said. lost my top-paying job, executive role, went home. So 2011, while others are saying compliments of the new year, now I'm saying complications of the new year.
You know?
Young family, no job, mortgage and a car there. I resorted to the default that I was trained on. When the chips are down, get into the closet.
Yeah.
And talk to him above. I call them Red Sea moments.
Okay.
The desert on the left, there's nothing there. The mountain on the right,
nothing.
Difficult to climb. The Red Sea in front, you can sink.
Yeah.
Behind you,
the Egyptians are coming.
There's only one way you can look.
Yeah.
Up there. That's the beauty of crisis, is when you get into them and you're a prayer person. You are forced to look up, and God says, Moses, tell them to go ahead. So for me, God then reignites that passion to say, so you're telling me these people have gone. Gone, and we're left with nothing. Then I said, Lord, if you can help me, if you can bless me and give me the right equipment, I will make sure no pastor dies who comes into my living space, leaving us with nothing. I will record every pastor I get to know and make sure their content is online.
For everyone to have access.
For everyone in this generation and the
next.
generations to come.
Don't be tapes sitting in your library.
No.
In your basement.
I don't want
in
them
your garage.
There. I want them in every public platform everywhere, whether it's Facebook, it's Twitter. So it became a confluence of opportunities for me at that time. I'm in South Africa, a country that's blessed with a lot of resources. The crisis is an opportunity for me to redirect myself. But I didn't quite get the language clearly at that time. See, I would be claiming too much of credit if I tell you it became very clear what God is still doing.
There was a network problem. I
still bought a small camera,
okay,
but it couldn't take in audio through the proper professional lines. I even asked God to confirm this, and He then opened the door for us to go to the UK. That's another story for 2 weeks to preach. That's another story, which started when I was in the UK doing my postgraduate training. On another day, maybe we'll talk about it.
The UK story.
Yes, so I consider myself an international broadcaster.
That's going to be in your book. Anyway,
yes.
Go ahead.
So we record this thing. We are so excited about the quality this thing is kicking out. But midway through this thing, the drive that we were saving the content on crashes.
Aibo.
And I lose all the recordings.
Just like that.
And I remember being so angry, and I said, I'm going to record more videos than the devil has deleted.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we come back.
The devil is a liar.
We come back. I start recording every day at my church. I was just recording. I didn't even know about YouTube. I'm just recording.
Making sure that you've got the footage.
And putting it on my cloud account. I had bought about 100 gig space on the cloud. I was dumping it there, taking the links and sending it to people. Until one day he said, my brother, these are very good recordings. Do you know about Isambulo? And I said, I don't know about Isambulo. He says, no, talk to this guy. So he referred me to Sunnyside, Elder Ndaba. He views this content. He says, no, this is good. We're going to come and collect more. The first avenue for public broadcast is opened. By the time they came, I had volumes and volumes and volumes of sermons. Then as I was posting it to friends around, one of my friends who's based in the UK, he's a pastor now, Simba Mkhao, took one of the videos and posted it on his YouTube account and sent me the link. And I'm like, how did you get this video there? He orients me on what YouTube is. I go online and I read and I study. I set up my own YouTube. Then I start posting. The rest is history.
And it moved from there.
From there, we grew from strength to strength to strength. From one challenge to the other. Breakthrough. And until today, we're talking about a ministry with over 131,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah.
Half of which came during COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
We're talking digital today.
We're talking digital.
Yes. 9 years to build a ministry with 50,000 people subscribing to it.
And you double that in a
But
year and a half.
in less than 1 year of COVID, we saw the Lord triple, if not 9 times, folding our success into a double digit of subscribers. So your question was digital evangelism versus conventional.
Yes.
I have learned over the years that the best evangelist, you give me the best preachers of the day, I can give you many names. Put them in an aeroplane. Give them an unlimited withdrawal card for expenses. Send them across the 3,000 tribes in Africa. They will never compete with the speed of a video on the internet.
True.
And yet, a video that goes through social media platforms can reach everywhere, across the oceans at the split of a second.
In real time.
So if the church is to invest in evangelism, where should it invest? It's a combination. I'm not saying take away the pastors. We need them for content.
We need them.
But they cannot just do it in a local building and end there.
We need to understand the Great Commission.
Especially for our time.
We need to understand the Great Commission.
You know, when Jesus said, go ye therefore,
and teach all nations,
he didn't prescribe the method.
He left it to our ingenuity.
Thank you. And digital is one of them that we now have as the latest baby.
We quote Daniel about knowledge increasing.
Yes.
Men running to and fro, this and that.
Yes.
But we don't want to use that ability, that capability,
that leverage
that has been developed
yeah.
for the work of the gospel.
Exactly. It is available to the church to use. And let me tell you this. I never went to class. No one taught me. Perhaps a few people mentored me and helped me along the way when they saw what I was trying to do. And I realized the vision is bigger. I need someone who can help.
Yeah.
But anyone, anywhere, can do this work.
You're reminding me of maybe 15, 16 years ago or a bit more, when, we were moving away from cassettes, going into CDs.
Yes.
I mean, even Adventist World Radio used to distribute cassettes. It was their main method of evangelism.
Yeah.
It was their digital space at that time.
Yeah.
So I meet these young brothers, a quartet, and they cut a CD and they have it in the boot of their car.
Yeah.
All these boxes in the boot of their car. And at that time, I'm involved in the industry, in the music industry. There are groups I'm marketing, taking the guys to radio stations, taking their music to Musica, to Reliable, Music Warehouse, all these products. I'm busy.
You're pushing them around.
Pushing them. And none of them are Adventists. These are groups from the communities, from wherever. And they got to know the work I was doing, and they would approach and would assist them. So I'm sitting and I'm thinking, okay, we have these Adventist young men. I can help these guys. Let's push this album. I approach them. Guys, I can open a channel for you to distribute your music.
All right.
To spread the gospel.
Yeah.
You are here in this location. I can reach every province through these networks. There's a distribution house in Natal and in Cape Town. And they attack the country from those two angles.
Yeah.
And in Port Elizabeth. We can make this happen. This is what you need. This is what you must do. This is how much it will cost.
I
This
almost
is
know
initial
what your
stock.
outcome was.
This is the initial stock. They will want just 2,000 CDs.
Yeah.
And they will take them to their branches, just have posters done. They will hang them up.
Yeah.
And with that, I can then organize for the music to be played on radio.
Yeah.
To push it.
Yeah.
And once we've had enough push on radio, we can do 1 or 2 songs for a music video.
Exactly.
At that time, I'm on good terms with Gospel Gold back then. Kina,
Yeah.
Zanele Mbokazi and them.
All these big shots.
So, I get a response. We will not have our CD go where we have not been.
My brother, you're saying something I can relate to. 10 years ago when I started and I promoted, finally I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at church, I'm promoting this channel, my local church.
Mm-hmm.
I'll not tell you which one, but those who know me would know. Those who know, they know.
Those who know, they know. Those who know, they know. Keep it to yourself.
One of the leaders told me, I don't do Facebook on Sabbath.
All right.
Neither YouTube. My phone is actually switched off. I want to keep the Sabbath
This
holy.
devilish thing is making me break the Sabbath.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now, fast forward 10 years now, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
What has happened in 2020? March 25, the country is locked down. COVID is here.
From the 26th, you are not going anywhere.
No one is supposed to congregate. Go to your holy church. Do your holy Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, it dawns on many of our people that actually church can be on Facebook.
Yeah.
Church can be on YouTube.
Conferences are on Facebook.
You know? So
Leaving
what has
congregants
changed?
confused now.
So what has changed? Times have changed. And God has rocked the powers.
Yeah.
So some of these things we call good and regular are a hindrance to the ministry. When we begin to realize that God is calling us to be sowers of the seed, Paul says someone sows, someone waters, and someone will harvest. But the growth and the increase is of the Lord.
Is of the Lord.
The pulpit in church. Let me tell you what I'm writing into my study. Let me not talk about that for now, but let me tell you what I discovered when COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
The pulpit is now a platform, and it's not in church.
True.
The pews where people sit are now replaced by views.
Yes.
The amens that you are asking on the pulpit are now replaced by likes online. The membership that you do a roll call in church today are now replaced by subscribers online.
Yes, man.
The world has changed.
It has changed.
And so the matrices of our growth are no longer just by people who walk into our doors every Sabbath. We don't need deacons on those doors.
No.
So instead of saying, come to our church, the new normal says, join us on Facebook or YouTube.
Join us. Join us. Log in. Subscribe.
The church has to rethink, because of this crisis, what really do we mean by digital evangelism? It is not an option. The new normal for the church, which the Lord introduced us 10 years ago. So when meeting was a crisis for the church MC, for me, it was an abundant season. When the church was scrambling how to congregate, we ignited 24 hours broadcast on our channel from Friday night when the Sabbath begins until it ends. There's a live stream that's running because content had been harvested for 10 years.
Wow.
The sermons of preachers, some of whom have since died,
Were available.
are still available.
To encourage the saints.
Finally, God showed me that while the Advent message is flying in the midst of heaven, John didn't have the technology for it, so he said midst of heaven.
In the midst of heaven.
But now you and I,
we understand.
we now know it's the airwaves. The gospel was flying in the airwaves. But God then made me realize not only should we get the gospel to fly, Revelation chapter 14, the very next verse after our Advent message, which is in 6 to 12, says, blessed are those who die henceforth, for they rest and their works do follow them. Follow them away. It means when we broadcast right now, 4 or 5 generations from now, they must access this interview. They must know what we were dealing with during our time. God's investment must not be lost. What he has invested in us must be retained, so that even if today you and I are dead, the truth that God wanted us to preach will continue being preached through the airwaves. And so during that time, we grew. exponentially. Even some of the work that we did with some of the Adventist churches around came in very handy.
Reused it. Noah preached for 120 years the same message.
There you go.
The gospel is always relevant.
There you go.
You can have... We are still listening to C.D. Brooks.
Exactly, while he rests in his grave. And so we had that challenge of acceptability, like you mentioned. I remember it didn't take long from the very same church I referred to for a memo to be issued to say there will be no broadcast here.
Bringing these devilish things when?
It's a problem we have in the Adventist faith. We think we own the gospel. And we think we own the message. And therefore we own how it should be preached.
And it's God's message.
That's for me the challenge we have. And I'm saying, back then, it was so painful to be told you can't broadcast here.
From here,
no.
We don't want these things.
The issues were summarized to me in a 3-page email. But the bottom line is you're making money out of the church. Yeah, because suddenly our videos are on Isambulo. I'm sure someone must have made 1 + 1 equals to 2.
Now, because they are on Sambulo, we've seen something on YouTube. You've been paid 5 million from our videos.
Yeah. Up to today, people think we make a lot of money.
My question would be, so what? If you were.
Exactly.
So what?
Exactly. In fact, if I was to be a millionaire, I would not refuse. Because I know where exactly I'll put that money for the gospel.
Well, if God opens the windows of heaven and you are in this ministry and you get a call saying, we want content of this nature for the next 5 years from you at 10 million rand a year.
Yeah. I'll take it.
Why is that a problem?
I'll take it. This is where Africans, and particularly Adventist Africans, we need to think outside the box and realize that God's kingdom is bigger than us. And our calling is bigger than us. God is not working on something that he wants to achieve right now. What God is doing right now is for generations to come. And so when you block it, you must realize you're not blocking today's blessing.
You're not blocking Melusi.
No, you're blocking God's way. But then, can you block water forever? Because Jesus says, those, talking about the Holy Spirit, that was to come. He says, those who believe in me, rivers of water shall flow out of their belly. So the question I have is, how do you stop water from flowing? You may stop it for a moment by damming it, but give it time.
Yeah.
It will overflow and continue flowing. So perhaps for someone out there who's facing similar challenges, my idea is if you know who called you and you understand the scope and the greatness of the calling, you may be delayed by that blockage, but you must never stop being consistent in doing what you were called to do.
Respond to the calling.
Challenges
God will open the path.
Exactly. Challenges are not meant to stop you. They are meant to refine you and to grow you, to get to a point where you can master what needs to be done. So for us, it was a call to do digital ministry. There were challenges we faced, and I'm sure many people can identify with it. The initial investment into this ministry is very expensive.
Yeah.
Just buying, and people don't understand it, that buying a simple microphone kit could cost you 20,000 rand.
Because you want good quality that is going to do the work.
Exactly. The cameras I bought 10 years ago are still the ones I'm using today. And people are shocked. And I said, yeah, because they were built to last. That's why they were expensive. I remember one church coming to me and saying, hey, we would like to do ministry and we want to buy cameras like you have. And I said, what's your budget? when they told me their budget, it was not even enough to buy one of the cameras. So the initial investment can be and must be expensive because we shouldn't do cheap things for God.
I think also what has confused a lot of leaders in churches when it comes to the ministry is that they will see someone blogging with their phone. They will see someone doing home videos with their phone.
Yeah, recording a service with a cell phone.
Recording a service with a cell phone, and then they will think, no, but my brother, just put your phone in a stand and record the sermon. It should be fine. We don't mind.
Yeah.
Forgetting that you who is in the audience, we're not recording for you.
No.
This we are doing a service for someone who is sitting in Yugoslavia.
Exactly.
For someone who is sitting in Bolivia.
Yeah.
For someone sitting in Peru. This service is not for you. And in God's work, you cannot do half measures and half-baked things.
No. And so the investment has to be right. And the church needs to appreciate that it costs money.
And we're not saying finish the coffers.
No.
Empty the coffers.
No.
But we're saying do an investment that is worth it.
Exactly. So for churches to do digital ministry, they definitely have to look into what it costs. But didn't Jesus say, who would build a house unless they sit down?
Yes, sir.
And count the cost? So we must count the cost of what it takes to invest into digital evangelism, even conventional evangelism, where you call a speaker, set a building, invite people to a place. It costs money. And so we have to do the right investment from the beginning.
We have a question from one of our listeners. The question is, you are talking about the different kinds of evangelism in terms of digital. What are they, and how can one enter the different kinds of digital?
All right. They almost stole the thought I was going to say. Let me start with the last question. How do you enter? Unless God has called you into it, don't step in.
Okay.
It's not about you. It's about what God wants done.
Put yourself behind.
If you
leave yourself at the back.
Exactly. It's not about you. It's not about your name. It's about what God wants done. So how do you enter? Pray and ask God to reveal to you whether this is your area or not.
I'm assuming the listener wanted to know, how do you enter the different types? Now, I like your answer. Pray about it, because each different type has its own challenges.
Exactly.
You might not be suited for one, but very good in another.
Exactly. You just told my words right there. All of the types of digital evangelism, they require you to know this is my area of passion and this is where I thrive. Because for me, ministry does not pay the bills. Let me tell somebody out there.
All right.
Yes.
All
you
right.
may think that there's a lot of money to be made in ministry. No, there are a lot of souls to be saved and won to Christ. The money may not always be a lot, but it will be enough for you to do what you are called to do. So I would always say, check with God first, whether you should get involved or not. And how does God respond to your prayer? Check if you have a passion for it.
Okay.
If the passion is not there, don't go into it. Also, check what people think when you do something. When you create a video, when you write a blog post, when you design a poster, when you do all of those digital type of things, what are people saying? Because they are confirming the calling that's upon you. And so there are many ways you could do digital evangelism. I am more into video productions.
Okay.
So I use technologies that generate videos, which is video cameras with audio, and I upload it to content hosting sites like YouTube and Facebook. Right. And sometimes we cut and trim those videos into small little clips.
Yes, edit them.
Yes.
Take out all the funny noises.
Yes.
Children crying if you can.
Yes. Trim it down to maybe a small little nugget of 30 seconds for WhatsApp.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm into video productions.
Mm-hmm.
Some other ministries you could get involved in blogging, which means you're writing articles or concepts and ideas, or you're teaching, and you're posting it on your online blog. All right. You could even be running a database of people that you email articles to. So you write these articles or you compile them, you create a newsletter, and you send it to your email details for people to read online. Because remember, digital ministry has to do with interfacing with technologies such as cell phones and computers. So anything that transmits information from one gadget to the other, it's digital ministry. And if
whatever content you generate,
yes,
if you can pass that content on to someone from your device to their device, you are in the ministry.
There you go. Even if it's pictures, just designing posters with nice messages, and then you send them for people to post on their statuses. That's digital ministry. Yes. So how do you get involved? Look for something you are passionate about, because there are principles that I think determine your success.
Yeah.
Firstly, you've got to be very good at it. People won't come to your page because you're just posting. They are attracted by quality.
They must be attracted to your page.
Quality of design and quality of the content.
And this is where I think we sometimes let it slip.
Absolutely.
Because we are always doing something as if we are preparing for Sabbath school.
Not that there's anything wrong with our
Nothing wrong with Sabbath school.
But it's us who corrupt the quality.
But I've seen programs that you can see it's being designed while the speaker is up front. It's being concocted in the mind while they are busy singing.
Yes.
And we at times put that kind of quality out.
Yeah.
And what we forget, we are competing for people's attention.
Let's call it what it is, Mse, Deacon of the Airwaves.
Yes,
let's call
sir.
it what it is. It's mediocrity of the highest order.
We are competing
with
a very advanced, very professional environment for our attention.
Absolutely. There's CNN online. There's amazing facts online. Dak Bachelor. We have Hope TV online. So you are sitting in the backyard of wherever town you are in, and you are just showing videos with pictures that are taken in a very skewed way, not clean. Perhaps the video has got so much background noise. People are not going to be attracted.
And you're busy talking to the person next to you while you're shooting the video.
And we can hear you. And you're laughing, making inappropriate statements. So you've got to make sure you professionalize your act. If it's designing posters, get the right computer that does proper designing.
Get the right software.
Exactly. So that when you put your picture in there, you can manipulate it in a professional way. If it is video editing, get yourself an editing computer. Get a camera that records quality videos. Because one thing that people don't know, some of the videos we record with these cell phones, over time, they fade out even when they're digital signals. So you want to record with the highest possible chip that generates the pure character of color
that will stay for longer
on the shelf. So invest in the right equipment. And yes, it might be expensive to invest in the initial stages, but over time, you will be grateful.
I think the issue of quality is very important. We all see images, videos that have deteriorated over time from the 80s, from the 70s. And it happens even with technology today.
Yeah, it does.
The quality, if it's poor, over time, that footage, that material will deteriorate.
Absolutely.
Let's talk then about the different platforms. You do mainly the video ministry. You record, you edit, you cut it into snippets, you do appetizers, you cut it into short messages that are profound.
Yeah.
And you sometimes, when you want to take that same message and put the long version of it for those 24-hour broadcasts. Yeah. What other platforms are there? What other methods are there? You've spoken about posters.
Yeah. So they are what we call content hosting sites. Many of them are free. But free doesn't mean someone didn't pay for it.
Yeah.
Someone paid for it and someone has invested in that. I'm mainly what you call a YouTuber. So we selected YouTube because it's global. It's one of the biggest content hosting sites. It's on Google, which is one of the biggest search engines.
Yes.
And so you've got billions and billions of people on YouTube. Because remember, you are trying to fish here. So you can't go into a fish pond if you want to catch the big fish.
You need a fishing rod, a proper one with the correct bait.
Exactly. And you need to be fishing in the right places. So YouTube is one of the biggest. Facebook is also one of the growing bigger platforms that we can use for sharing our messages.
It's suited for that.
Exactly. So for YouTube, you can establish your channel, okay, where you can post any of your videos.
Basically, you can have your own TV channel without applying to ICASA.
Absolutely. Free. And you can run 24/7 broadcasts there as well. No limitations at all, just your bandwidth in terms of your internet.
Yeah.
So you need a good internet to do live streaming on YouTube. But if you have the internet where it's episodic, you just save it for an hour, you upload your videos, you can then decide when they are played. It's called premiering.
Yes.
Facebook then allows you to do much more than just... In fact, YouTube I've seen as well. They've grown to have different packages where you now can do the longer version of the video. You can then do the shorter version of the video on YouTube. Or you can also post in your community page your posters and your pictures and other things and communicate with your
subscribers.
Exactly. But Facebook provides you with a place where you can interact with people using the videos. You can live stream, you can pre-post them, and you can also do live broadcasts on Facebook. And so that's a bigger platform. But there are other platforms that also take short version of your videos and messages and posters and even articles. You've got the likes of your Twitter accounts for short best videos and just posting your short messages, nuggets, if I can put it that way, or motivational messages. You can use Instagram, which is also a picture-based a platform for sharing moments with your viewers. You can still use your email address as your broadcasting platform. So create your publishing lists, and when you write a blog, you can then send it to however number of email addresses you have in your email address. And people can be reading and writing back to you. You can take the same articles and post them on your Blogspot, which is a website, which you can set up. And you can even run your ministry on your website or on your Blogspot. There's another method which we are currently using right now, which is radio.
Radio.
All right. So you could
online radio.
There you go.
No ICASA issues.
Nothing.
Free to air.
Exactly. So do your own radio. The beautiful thing about this radio, there's a new format called podcast.
Yes.
Which sounds exactly like radio, but works on it.
It's prepackaged.
Prepackaged. So you have an opportunity to record yourself. I'm not happy with this one. Re-record, clean it up, embellish it with nice music. Then you post it on a podcast.
And you can do 5-6 of them in between playing music.
Exactly.
There you go.
You can do anything. So I think God has opened up the airwaves for a season to allow us to spread the everlasting gospel in the airwaves. But that freedom is not going to be with us for long.
Yeah, true.
It's not going to be with us for long. So let's take advantage of this season to spread the message as much as we can to all the platforms.
On Twitter, I've gotten into this platform where they debate and they chat about all sorts of topics. That is an avenue for evangelism.
It is.
And you are saying there will come a time when these platforms are no longer available.
Absolutely.
And I once said to someone, if they could shut out the president of America from Twitter and Facebook, if they could cut him out and shut him out from the platform, who am I?
You're nobody, man. It's the grace of God that we're still able. It's a matter of time. Because when I started uploading videos on YouTube, we didn't have an area where you would sign up for community guidelines. To say my video does not violate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But now, We have over 9 guidelines.
And the powers that be decide what they deem
Exactly
to be offensive.
It's a matter of time before they look towards us to say, we think that
This Christianity thing.
telling someone to change their lifestyle is actually discrimination and it should be barred. Or classifying certain behaviors as sins should be barred. It's a matter of time. But before then, God is saying, wake up and get on these platforms and proclaim the gospel to the ends of the world. We woke up 10 years ago.
073-470-3520, 073-470-3520. Share your views on this evangelism. What has been your experience? How has your church responded to the changing needs and demands of our modern era?
AWR. Powered by SIDmedia.
My elder, tell me something.
Yes.
You know, when we look at our current state of affairs, looking at the pandemic of the last 2.5 years, in 1917-18 with the Spanish flu, a lot of churches shut down and never reopened.
That's true.
We are looking at a similar situation now where we've had this kind of a pandemic. There are some churches that have suffered, but generally, have you seen a similar trend where the churches that have closed have not reopened, and those that have reopened, what made it possible for them to reopen, and that they reopen with a bigger or a smaller congregation?
So, one of the things I noted in my studies as I'm working on a proposal as I'm submitting for my studies, looking at the media, religion, and health pandemics, because I'm a public health specialist.
All right.
But
it came natural to have a look at things in that angle.
Yes, of course, I have to default to the default.
All right.
Go back to the default, which is health. And we have a global crisis of COVID, which I must quickly say caught many churches unprepared for other methods. You're quite right that you're referring to the Spanish pandemic of
the Spanish flu, yes.
Yes, of the 18th century.
1917.
The 19th century. Now, unlike then, the defining difference for the church of this day, unlike this church in the Spanish days, is that we have digital technology, which has kept us tuned into each other.
Kept us connected.
Visually, not just audio. We could see each other. That MC has now put on some weight.
All right. Is that a hint? Is that a hint?
So what technology has done for us today, if it was there in the Spanish flu, maybe churches would have survived. So I believe some churches have survived the last 2 years because of digital platforms.
All right.
But looking further and looking at what has happened as the lockdowns were easing, during lockdown, there are some congregations that were very vibrant and were very strategic. They built their virtual platforms.
Yeah.
And were able to service their members during that time.
Sustain a reliable service.
Exactly.
To their members.
Even their
and
banking,
beyond.
Even their banking systems were online. People could send their offerings online. And what actually has happened to those churches is that they've now become truly centers of influence, where people from across the world tune in to those churches and worship with them online. And my experience, because I've worked with a number of churches, I mean, maybe I could even say one example here, Santon SDA Church, that started broadcasting non-stop from the height of the pandemic.
From level 5.
I have observed that the people who sit in their pews are a quarter of the people who are online.
True.
By the end of the service, we will have almost 4,000
people
who would have worshipped with us and commented.
And you have 300 inside.
Exactly. Whereas prior to the COVID pandemic, they didn't have that experience of having a larger online membership.
A larger reach.
Exactly. So some have thrived,
Mm-hmm.
all right? But unfortunately, for some who didn't have buildings of their own
Mm-hmm.
and did not
Didn't
have
invest.
investment into technology up to today, they are still not able to meet physically. Some have met physically. I'm talking about South Africa. I know across
Yes.
the region some may have been meeting. But some have adopted, since the opening of churches and the laws allowing churches to reconvene, they have not stopped the digital, because it has been such a revelation that they have adopted what they are now calling hybrid services, where
True.
they have people online who are participating to this service that's held in the church. But I can tell you definitely we have seen a drastic catalytic change that was brought about by this pandemic. And the church will never be the same going forward.
It has actually forced the church to move ahead a few years in how they do things.
So the fourth industrial revolution has been catalyzed by COVID. And I think it's a good
So are you saying, therefore, it's a myth that opening up churches has been made difficult because people are sitting at home watching?
In fact, I ran a survey on our YouTube channel. Remember, I said we've got over 130,000
Over
people
131,000 subscribers, yes.
As the rules were now permitting churches to open with limited numbers, I asked our subscribers whether they will be keen to go back to church.
Okay.
And out of about 500 people that responded, a third said we're not going back. We have discovered that we can worship in the comfort of our homes. In
So
fact,
why go and be cold?
exactly, and be cold and be subjected to this 3 hours, whereas when I'm at home, when I get bored by the service, I can switch to another one that I prefer. I've got more variety when I'm at home. In fact,
Which goes to the quality thing.
exactly. Now you have to produce your programs in a high level quality if you are to retain people.
In content, in presentation, and in the digital format
Exactly.
that is pleasing to the eye.
Exactly. You got it right. And so we have now a new form of religion. See if I can put it out there for people to consider. It's called consumerism religion, or consumeristic religion.
Well, we've got people who are watching things in 3D on TV.
Exactly.
They're watching news in 3D.
Yep.
We now even have even better technology.
Yep.
We've got Blu-ray. We've got all of these things.
High quality stuff.
You are presenting your content
yeah.
to people who 6 days a week
Are watching
are exposed
Ultra
to
HD.
Ultra HD.
Yeah.
And then you come with a camcorder.
Yeah. Entry level.
Camcorder.
Internal sound.
And you want people to stick to the channel.
No lighting. The sound is internal, so it's speaking everything around you. It is a disgrace and a disservice to our Lord, and I pray that our church can look into that space and put our money where the world is going. Because
where the people are.
And where the people are.
Because you might be having 300 people, even if you did not lose
some of your members during the lockdown.
A substantial number of people who are staying at home. You were worshiping with 400, now you've got 350.
Yeah.
With digital, that 350 can be 350,000.
Exactly.
That you are reaching.
Exactly.
Maybe we've forgotten the mission.
It's no longer about serving Christ. You see, this is what. Let me take you. This is a deep question you've just said. Peter was called by Christ. And maybe let me use him as an example.
Right.
Peter, come. I will call you. On this rock I'll build my church. Your name is Stone, Peter, but on this church I'll build my on this rock I'll build my church. Peter was exposed to ministry for 3.5 years. He went out, practiced, came back excited that demons are. And when Christ was crucified and they were hiding in their rooms, that was a lockdown. The disciples went into lockdown. They were hiding.
Yep.
From the Romans.
They quarantined themselves.
What did Peter do during quarantine? The book of John says, Peter then said, I go fishing. And the disciples said, we will go with you.
Yeah.
They forgot the mission. That's why when Christ appeared early in the morning and they'd been fishing the whole night, they had caught nothing. Jesus appears and says, children, have you got any fish? No, we've been trying the whole night. We didn't catch. No, just throw it on the
Other side.
side. And they caught fish. And then John said to Peter, it is Christ. And now, finally, they brought the fish out. They came and sat down. They found Jesus with the fish, by the way.
He was already braying.
And then the story I want is now the conversation that ensued between Peter and Jesus. Peter,
yes.
do you love me? The issue, see, why we are not investing in feeding the flock is hidden in the question that Jesus asked.
Hey, my elder.
Deacon of the airwaves, do you love
me?
My flock? Or do you love me? Because if you do,
feed.
Yes. So loving Christ is not about keeping the commandments only. It's also about doing the mission for which Christ set us out.
And with the technology that has been placed in front of us, with the platforms, with everything, and the increase in knowledge, are we using it to feed the flock?
I don't think we have optimized using this technology, but we are getting somewhere.
We've started.
We are still way behind. I think if you compare to what the world has done in using this technology, there's no way, MC, the government of South Africa can have a bigger radio station than the Adventist church in this territory. There's no way. We can't have a bigger SABC than a smaller AWR. Because our mission is greater and bigger and eternal. And therefore, I believe the church must relook at investing in ministries that are meant to proclaim the word via digital platforms. You know why?
Why?
The conventional speaker will preach for 3 weeks and stop.
Yes.
But what I record for 3 weeks
can play,
will continue.
Replay.
So what we call the return on investment. I'm sure you will understand the term. Those who are economic out there can understand.
They'll speak for 2 weeks on that.
Exactly. A return on our investment is bigger and more greater and deeper when we invest the technology of internet and information technology into the work that we are doing. And the per capita investment may be higher in some cases, but the return is definitely greater. So maybe we should actually modify the prayer of Jesus that says the harvest is truly great, but the harvesters are few. Pray that the Lord of the harvest will send more reapers. Maybe we need to pray and say, may the Lord of the harvest send more technological investments and advancement. Because our gospel is of the airwaves.
Yes.
The 3 angels were flying in the midst
of the air, proclaiming the everlasting gospel.
To all generations, to all nations. And
how does it go in the midst of the air if we don't use the technology?
Exactly. I don't know if I'm sounding like a broken record, but I think we need to invest in ministries that are doing digital technology. And so what SIDmedia has done with AWR is exactly what each conference, perhaps each church,
could be doing.
Let's flood the airwaves and work on there's a program I'm developing, which I'm hoping I'll train on one day. How to work smarter on the digital platform.
Okay.
Because one of the things I feel we missed out during the COVID period was coordination and collaboration.
Yes. There was none.
No.
There was none.
No, there wasn't. And the people who won more views are those who had a better investment in the technology. But those who just went online and were trying to do what they normally do at their church online, it was not attractive at all. And so I believe, besides the investment, we need a strategy. So I'm working on a presentation of what it is that each church must do to optimize their presence online. Because we have to collaborate. We have to coordinate.
All right. We're going to take a short break. And after the break, we would like you to give us a takeaway.
All right.
a take-home message on digital evangelism, how we as churches, how we as Christians can work together, and number 2, invest in this important ministry. Do not go away. We'll be right back.
MelVee Broadcasting Network, a divine voice out of Africa. Remember to like, to subscribe, and to click the bell.
Elder Melusi,
Yes.
it's been a wonderful conversation. We could have this for the next 2 hours and still not finish.
Yeah.
Some wise words of advice, insights that you could give to members of churches, leaders, and congregants alike.
Number 1,
Mm-hmm.
Revelation chapter 1, verse 3 makes it very clear. I think it's verse 2 or verse 3. Makes it very clear that this gospel shall be finished by those who read it.
Yes.
By implication, meaning someone wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
And those who hear it, by implication, meaning someone recorded it.
Yes.
So writing and recording is exactly how the gospel will be finished.
Mm-hmm.
When Jesus said, and this gospel shall be preached unto all the ends of the world, and then the end shall come,
Mm-hmm.
he meant blessed are those who read what is written.
Yes.
Blessed are those who hear what is spoken, meaning it's recorded or preached.
Mm-hmm.
So it is important for us to invest in writing and in publishing our audio or video products.
Content and material, yes.
But we must not do it unless we sit down and we count the cost. By that I mean every church needs to have a digital communication strategy. I don't have enough time to go into the details of that because Jesus said, who will start building a building unless he sits down and he counts the cost to see whether he will be able to finish it.
True.
So many people have failed to be consistent online because when they started working, they didn't understand what it would take to produce a video every week. And therefore, maybe I can summarize in a very brief bullet point format the things that I'm talking about. The first point is that you need to understand what you want to accomplish.
Yes.
Do you want more visitors to your church? Do you want more viewers? Do you want to grow your membership? Or you just want engagement with people? Be very clear what you want to do online. And therefore determine what exactly you want the people you are inviting to like. Why exactly? Why must they like your channel?
Are you doing it because another church is doing it?
Exactly.
Or
Why
are
you
doing it
Exactly.
because you have the passion and the will to
Exactly.
evangelize?
So what do you want people to do and why? And why is it important that they should like your channel and follow you? And how do they benefit from following you? So importantly, it is exactly how you measure your engagement online by those questions. Number 2, know who you are serving. Digital ministry is not for everyone. You must target your people well and you must give them the best. Number 3, I believe you should determine the value that you're delivering. And until you know what you're delivering, you may not be optimum in your performance. You must know exactly what quality or what messages you are dishing out and why they are important for the people that you're giving them to. Number 4, I think it's important to streamline your digital journey with your people. Yeah, people have different challenges with technology, but I think you need to know how to move them from the point of them seeing your suggested post to them clicking on it, to them watching it, because liking does not come automatically.
Yes.
People like after they've seen something that they will benefit.
That tickles the interest.
And they will say,
and they play.
Exactly.
Or they will watch. Or they will view. They will share.
Let alone to subscribe, my brother. People don't just subscribe. They have to see the quality, consistency in the quality of the message and the presentation. So it's important for you to understand the funnel, what I call the funnel of marketing your message to get to the point where people can say, I want to be there on your channel. And they can begin to call others to your channel, which is what you want ultimately. Number 5, it's important to audit your resources. And by resources, I'm referring to your equipment, to your people mostly, because even with the equipment, you may not be able to dish out the service. You need to know you've got people who are called and who see the burden of the work that needs to be done and are not doing it simply because they were asked, but they're doing it because they believe they are called. Audit your channels, Look at what people are watching and why they are watching and what they are searching online. And it is important to make sure that you invest in realistic, simple, and consistent approaches to keep your people informed. Number 6, it's important to make sure that you clearly cut out the platforms where your content is found.
All right.
When they watch you on Facebook, they must know where to find you.
Be clear about your marketing.
Exactly.
Be direct, be simple.
Exactly. And examine whether or not your church is equipped to handle the success you're looking for.
True.
Because success, if not expected, can kill you. You need to know your digital communication goal. What is it that you're aiming to achieve, and be clear about how you're going to get there. I think in brief, that's what I want to say.
That was Melusi Ndhlalambi on AWR-SIDmedia. We were talking digital evangelism. We have not exhausted the topic, but we are surely going to call him back. Thank you so much, sir, and thank you for your time.
You're most welcome, man. And thanks to the viewers for listening.
For your ministry.
Amen.
God bless you. God bless your family.
Thank you.
That's it, folks, for today. As we do, as always, when we end our program, the Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. God guide, God bless, and goodbye.
AWR. Powered by SIDmedia.
MelVee Broadcasting Network, a divine voice out of Africa. Remember to like, to subscribe, and to click the bell.